Today I'm going to be talking about one of the most underrated musicals in movie history, and it's based on one of the first cases of cannibalism ever brought to an American court. Cannibal, the Musical, the story of Alfred Packer. And it goes something like this. The story of Alfred Packer is a simple one. He was a cannibalistic maniac that lured his friends into the Colorado mountains and ate them like the monster that he is. Or so the courts would have you believe. Well, we learned through the years of Miss Polly Price that Alfred is a poor victim whose only crime is to love. Unfortunately, that love is a little inappropriate because it's for a horse named Leanne. But anyway, Alfred and Leanne spend their days frolicking and riding and having a grand old time singing songs about spadoinkle days.
The sky is blue and all the leaves are green. The sun's as warm as a baked potato. I think I know precisely what I mean when I say it's a spadoinkle day.
Everything's just fine and dandy until one day, Alfred shows up to work and gets suckered into leading a group of dipsticks into the Colorado Rockies in search for gold. Problem is, Alfred has absolutely no clue on how to navigate the Colorado Rockies. They basically wander aimlessly through the mountains, in the snow, and in the cold, and across rivers, and hope that they eventually hit their destination. Along the way, they meet three trappers that like the way Leanne works it. No diggity. They make small talk about how they're all going in the same direction, but then the trappers get upset because they claim that Leanne is a trapper horse and not a digger horse. That's racist. So the gang loads up on provisions, heads back into the mountains, but the next morning they realize that Leanne has ditched them and is left with all their food. So Packer, like a fool in love, leads the group into danger seeking his horse, which he believes is following after the trappers. Things look especially grim when they run into a couple of Native Americans who lead them back to the tribe at Sword Point. Now I know what you're thinking, but these are authentic Native American actors.
We are Indians. We have teepees. Look at all these teepees we have because we are Indians.
See, completely legit. Anyway, the chief is completely cool with them hanging out until the impending blizzard passes over, but they bump into the Trappers 3 and Packer becomes convinced that the Lord of the Douches has his horse. So Packer decides he's going to throw caution to the wind and pursue the Trappers into the blizzard, dragging along his fellow doomed souls. Once Swan sees how down in the dumps everybody is, he decides he's going to cheer them all up with a song about snowmen that totally preempts the Frozen Snowman song.
Let's build a snowman. We can make him our best friend. We can make him tall. We can make him tall. We can make him tall. We can make him not so tall. Snowman.
Belle puts the kibosh on Swan's musical number, and they decide to eat Swan to stay alive. But once the Swan tartar starts to run out, they start eyeballing each other with that McRib stare. So Packer decides to get the hell out of there for a minute and comes back and Belle is cooking off the rest of the party. And Packer's like, "This is wrong," and Belle's like, "That's a good point. Hey, come here for a second." And Packer has to put Belle down. A few times. So Packer eats the leftovers and waits out the blizzard and heads to the nearest town. All's well until the local sheriff suspects foul play and Leanne shows up with three doucheketeers. They hound Packer all the way to the local bar where the sheriff shows up and tells them they found the gnawed remains of his party on the outskirts of town. Packer gets his ass whooped by the entire town and gets some one-on-one time with the head trapper. Luckily for him, this is when he remembers that the chief taught him how to kick dick like Bruce Lee. He escapes, but we know how this turns out. They find Packer guilty and stage a grandiose musical number that leads right up to the hanging, which is stayed off by Polly, who shows up with a stay of execution from the governor. It turns out that Polly has fallen madly in love with Packer's devilish charms over the course of listening to the story, and discovers that the cannibalistic acts took place outside of United States territory, so Packer cannot legally be tried for it. This pisses off Trapper John, who pulls the switch anyway. Luckily, the chief was in the wings the whole time and introduces Trapper to Native American steel. So Packer's temporarily free, Polly declares her love for him, cue the music, happy ending, smoocheroo. Now I know this sounds like a weird idea for a musical, but I also want you to think about this. Not only is this movie made by Trey Parker and Matt Stone, the comedy geniuses behind South Park, Team America World Police, Orgasmo, but they are also Oscar-nominated, Tony Award-winning musical geniuses. This was their first movie and really showed the budding creativity that was going to spawn in the next few years with movies like South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, or even Book of Mormon on the Broadway selling out show after show after show. This movie is just rife with earworms that'll just have you singing all these crazy songs over and over throughout the day.
When I was on top of you.
If you haven't seen it yet, you gotta treat yourself to this one, because it is one of the best musicals ever set to film.
Wait, you're cutting into his butt.
Well, what kind of piece do you want?
Well, not butt.